Tiffany. I'm a recovering alcoholic. My sobriety date is May the 20th, 2013. And I like to say that from that moment to this moment, I've thought about drinking, came close to drinking, but for me, to drink is to die, and I want to live more than I ever want to drink again. Um, Man, I missed y'all. I really did. I'm going to be talking about my higher power a lot because it's obvious that I'm not the one that saved me, and I'm not the one that continues to keep saving me over and over and over again. And I like to think that my higher power is working in the rooms as well as in the world and my life. And I would love for everyone else to feel that way, but I understand that that's my belief, and I can only hope to inspire other people to believe and try not to get into controlling and stuff like that, but we'll get into all that later. I started drinking from a very, very unhealthy place from the beginning. It was because I always felt extremely uncomfortable and just did not feel like I fit in. And I always felt like that as a child. All my life, I just felt out of place. And what ended up happening is I ended up going to high school, and my very first girlfriend introduced me to drinking, and it was like, take this because maybe this will help you calm down or relax or, be cooler and stuff like that. And I make no bones about it. It didn't take more than a year and a half for me to be locked in chains with several felonies, several blackout moments, several injuries directly related to my alcoholism. And by the time I was 17, I was put into rehab by one of my presiding judges, who saw and went over my case because he could not understand how a straight A student could go from straight A's to attempted armed robbery in a span of a year and a half. So that happened when I was 17 years old, and I was the youngest person in rehab. And while I was there, it was as if it was that I did not have a problem drinking. That was what I thought. I thought that I was just around the wrong people. I just caught a bad break. I just need to get away from these people, and then maybe I'll be fine. And what I've always heard in the rooms is wherever I go, there I am. So that notion in my mind was quickly disputed when I got away from those people, and there I still was, and was my alcoholism rearing its head. I did get away from those people, and I did change my environment, but what ended up happening was I did not get to the root of my alcoholism and declaring that I'm powerless over it, and I ended up back in jail. And what ended up happening was I went through a series of going through the same types of situations over and over and over and over. And by the time I was 25, I had been to rehab twice, once when I was 20, once when I was 17, and another time when I was 23. And what ended up taking place when I was 23 was I got into rehab again, but again, I wasn't an alcoholic. I wanted to be anything but an alcoholic. I could have problems with drugs. I could have problems with all of these other things. But to me, at the time, removing the alcohol was like removing my best friend. It was my courage. It was how I was able to talk to people. It was how I was able to do this. It was how I was able to live a normal life. I tried my whole life to just be normal. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be normal. And alcohol turned all of my wishes into nightmares very fast. So by the time I was 25, I was laying on my mom's couch, and I just had this thought that at my funeral, they were going to be like, I had so much potential, and I just drank and smoked it away. And I couldn't live with that. And that was the moment I surrendered. I went to my mom's backyard and I prayed, and I just said, you know, God, if I could just have my life back, you can have the drink, the drugs, I'm do whatever it takes. And shortly thereafter, I went to rehab, and I stayed in rehab for like a year and a half. And over the course of that time, what I ended up doing was building my foundation. I was heavy entrenched into the rooms, and I was soaking in the ideologies of AA as a program and as a fellowship. And but of course, you know, I always want to do what I want to do and make things happen my own way and so on and so forth. So what ended up happening was I had a sponsor, but only a name. And I was not doing any step work in my second year. And I was at work one day, and to give a little backstory about the kind of mental space I was in, what ended up happening was I began to feel alone again. But this time I began to isolate myself from the rooms, from my sponsor, and I started praying. And I was at work, and the thought came, a drink would be really nice right now. And I never said anything out loud. I never said I was going to go get a drink out loud. I literally just said all of this in my head. And then, you know how you make a decision and you don't even tell yourself out loud you're going to make the decision, but you say in your head, like, all right, bet. Like, that's how we talk in DC. We say, all right, bet. And it was a done deal. It was, I'm going to drink after work. And regardless of all that I've been taught in AA, that one is too many, 1,000 is never enough, and that I have this disease that feeds itself, and it will never be satisfied until I'm dead or miserable. So I settled on that thought, and then another thought came. Normally when I'm at work, because I work in customer service, I'm doing everything I can to avoid the customers. Like, I'm doing everything I can to avoid people, because I told you, like, I'm a person that is very introverted, very shy, very anxiety ridden. So I normally take the back way at work. So this time, in my head, it was like, you know, no, don't take the back way. Go down the elevator way. Go down to the lobby. And just as quick as that thought came, I quickly agreed to just go through the lobby. So I get on the elevator. The elevator doors open, and a couple walks past me, and I see them. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I know the camera saw me see them, so I have to speak, because it's my job. And if the camera sees me not speaking, then I'm not doing my job. So I wave and I say, hey, how y'all doing? How's your night going? And the couple turns around, and it's the judge that sent me to treatment when I was 17 years old. It was at that moment that I knew that I had been guided, that I had been covered, that I had been led to Alcoholics Anonymous and to a sober life. And it was at that moment I hugged that judge as tight as I could, because he was a symbol that if I ever want to drink again, my life could surely end up the way that it did when I was 17. And it was also a symbol that if I ask my higher power for help, if I'm willing to listen, to wait, to be guided, I'll get the help. But far too many times when I don't get what I want, if I'm not getting what I want, a lot of times I'll create a worse situation. My mentor, my sponsor always tells me when something is going wrong in my life, don't make it worse, you know. But in my mind, in my alcoholic brain, if something bad happens to me, before I had a foundation, my automatic response would be to drink or to sabotage or to self-destruct. And I thank God, by the grace of God, that we have built a foundation that teaches me that when something is going wrong, pray, call my sponsor, go to a meeting, and stay sober. Stay sober. Because had I not been willing to stay sober, none of these things would be possible, honestly. I would not have a relationship with God had I not wanted to change my life the way that I wanted it that badly. And a lot of times in my recovery, I have to get that gift of desperation. I want to personally thank Kate for being a vessel for my higher power to work through, because before this, I had went several months without a meeting. And I told her that I would share this because this is a real thing. I allowed principles versus personalities to get in the way of me taking care of my sobriety. And we all know the climate of the world that we're in, but I don't have to mention it. But that was heavily influencing me not coming back to the rooms. And I'm grateful that I have friends that know me well enough to know that me not coming to meetings is a sign that something is wrong. I'm going to touch on this thing because I definitely feel myself crying. So I recently just found out my dad passed. Today is his birthday. Before I got sober, on May the 20th, 2013, my last thought before I surrendered was, I don't want to end up like my dad. He suffered from alcoholism untreated. And he went through dialysis and he slowly began to develop dementia. And the last time I talked to him, I was about 16 or 17 years old. And I hadn't talked to him since. But every single year of my sobriety, I've looked for him. I looked for him. And this year, a week before my sobriety date, I found out he passed away. And I didn't get to bury him. I didn't get to physically hold him, kiss him, or anything. And I know that it was him coming to me, telling me he was proud. Because why, a week before my 7th year of sobriety, would I just think to go look up my dad? You know what I mean? Just to find his obituary on the internet. Oh, I'm sad, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I was able to get sober and he sees how much I loved him. I have such an amazing relationship with my higher power that little things will trigger that I know that my father is watching. Like, I'll see red cardinals. And if you look up the definition of the meaning of red cardinals, you'll see what I mean. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to see the good in all of the tragedy. If I was not able to hold on to hope, I would have surely died a long time ago. And hope is what brought me into the rooms, and hope is what keeps me here. And I'm so grateful to be here. I really hope that this helps someone. Everybody that's sharing, that's speaking on newfound sobriety, that's got 30, 60, 1 day, 24 hours. I am so proud of you to be sober in a time like this. Is the biggest revolutionary act you could ever make. And I'm making my dad proud, and you making us all proud. We really, really want you to stay here. We are so glad you're here, and I thank you all for letting me share.
Thank you so much.